Paul Kelly's words seemed the right way in to Eddie Betts tonight and the boy from Boomerang Crescents. Released last night at the Wheeler Centre, and there for all of us to immerse ourselves in today. And Eddie Betts is with us, as he is most Wednesday nights on AFL 360. Eddie, welcome.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me. Sorry I can't be there tonight. I'm usually on a Wednesday night with me and Geordie, but I got a conference up here in the Gold Coast.
Before we delve into the specifics, Eddie, I wonder, how did you find the experience last night at the Wheeler Centre as you sent your words out into the world?
Yeah, Gerard, it was, to be honest, I've never heard of the Wheeler Centre before this, and going there, and a lot of people turned up to release the book, to talk a little bit about the book and my journey and my story with friends and family in the room, was pretty special. It was just like a yarn. So we just sat back and just yarned to everyone, and I really enjoyed it.
It is joyful, it's confronting. I love the line on the front. It's a long, hard road from the Nullarbor to the MCG. You take us on that journey. I wonder, were you braced for... It was a relatively natural reaction that the first eyewitness account from the camp would overwhelm the first wave of coverage?
Yeah, well, Gerard, writing the book, we always knew that was a big part of that was going to be blown up, and but the book is about my story, my life, my journey. This young, shy Aboriginal kid from the community to where I am now here in Melbourne. So, I hope people do buy the book and read it and see it for that, and see, the journey that I've had, the hard road that I faced throughout my whole journey to where I am today. But yeah, I always knew that this was probably be the hardest one to write, was that chapter.
Ed, thanks for coming on. When you were writing that chapter, was that distressing? And B, now that it's been made public, are you reliving the trauma and distress that you went through at the time?
Yeah, it is. And writing it, because it was hard to talk about, and writing it was stressful. It takes you back to those moments, and I guess, just trying to put it on paper was really tough. And even today's been pretty hectic. I could say every journalist and every news person trying to get a hold of me, and it just takes you back, Robbo. And I truly do hope when people do read my book, and all the fuss that's happened today and everything about this camp. There's stuff in this book about racism. There's stuff in the book about what I've faced, and hopefully everyone can read that and kick up a stink about that as well, the way that they're doing to this camp, make a big fuss about racism, but and then make change, change and make real change in here in Australia, because I think that's the real issue that we're still facing today going forward is racism. And once they do read and find out what I've been through and what I'm still dealing with, hopefully we can make real change.
Be proud. You've already made change, Eddie, and this will further make change. And I'm not going to make any apologies for going back there, because part of educating people and telling people stories is to relive what you went through, and writing down the actual events of what happened at the camp. Right? How distressing has that been? And B, that breach of trust, of all the things that I read today, that breach of trust with your mum, how much has that really burnt through you for the last couple of years?
Yeah, to be honest, Rob, I don't really want to go into the specifics of that, because that really hurts deeply, to that part. And, hopefully people can buy the book and read that. But, for me personally, when it comes to the Adelaide Crows, and I know how hard it is when the camp is brought up, being inside those four walls, and being at the Adelaide Crows was probably the best time that I've ever had, and I can't really let 4 months or 5 months, take that fun, that love that I had at the Adelaide Crows, the players, the friendships that I still have there. Some of my best mates are from the Crows, and maybe one day my kids might get a chance to come back and play for the Crows. I still love the football club. I know, there's a lot of pressure on the club at the moment, but the Adelaide Football Club made a mistake, and it's a mistake that we try to fix, and it just kept digging ourselves into a bigger hole. So for everyone out there that is watching now, and you've heard all these spectacles, you've read about the camp, and you've wanted it to move on. Now you can read it, because this is the truth, and this is what happened. Read it, understand it, and then get what you want out of it, and then you can move forward. Because, like I said, I've got nothing against the Crows. I love that football club and the players there, and I had a great chat to Tim Silvers this morning. And like I said, hopefully one day my kids might come and play for the Adelaide Crows. I love the city. I love the supporter base, and the support that was shown to me today through the players at that Adelaide Football Club and all their supporters was unreal, and I thank them for that. And like I said, it is tough, but we made a mistake, and now it's here. You can read, and it's the truth.
Did the club apologise to you today, Eddie?
Yeah, they did, and I accept their apology. But I personally, I think they should apologise. I think Tim Silvers did it. He apologised to everyone that did feel hurt from that infamous camp at the Adelaide Crows, and I know a lot of players did feel hurt and still are hurting, and hopefully they can get some comfort from that apology, and finally try and move forward.
So to move forward, you have to face up to what has been. Are you convinced that the Adelaide administration, those in charge, are facing up to what happened?
Yeah, I think they are, and I don't believe the people that were there at that time when the Crows went through that camp are not there anymore. So Tim Silvers is in charge, and he got in contact with me straight away and apologised and said, we want to make this footy club better. We want to move forward. We want this to be a great organisation. And I accepted his apology. And like I said, I hold no grudges with the Adelaide Football Club. I love the football club. So hopefully now everyone could understand what we've been through. My teammates still don't understand what we've actually been through. And so, hopefully they can read the book and finally know.
I'm really interested, Eddie, and please take us back there. The Players Association tonight has come out and spoken about a culture of silence, that they tried to contact players and they couldn't get the full story. I accept that partly, but I don't accept it at all. To offset that comment by the Players Association, when you got home from the camp and your wife said to you, "Hello, darling, how was it?" What did you say to your wife that was different what you said to the AFL and the Players Association?
Right. Well, I'm very open and honest with my wife, and I told her everything. I was hurting, and I was having this pain and feeling sick, and just what I've been through, and I just sat down and told her everything that we did, and that was kind of a breach of what we weren't meant not to do. We were meant to be not tell them what we did on the camp. So, but I'm a very honest person. I can't lie to my wife, and I needed someone to talk to. I needed someone to be by my side, and she was that main person.
What was her response? Was it anger, like is existing today in the footy world? What was her response to you?
It was anger at first, and and like I said, we've talked through that for the last 3 years, and it was hard to talk about. And what all the people are feeling right now when they read this chapter, they're feeling shocked and disgusted, and we've been through that already with my partner and a few friends of ours, and we're healed, and I guess everyone, what they're feeling now, what you guys are feeling, what Gerard, what you spoke about just before, and how you felt, that's how she felt when I first told her.
So you've shared graphically with us before the sensation of being alone. So obviously you've got your family unit. Did you have a phase here, Eddie, again, where you felt alone?
You're talking about today? Not really, because kind of writing that, it brought that's like my healing process from that camp, is because it's really hard to talk about, but to put it down now in my book and to write about it, to let everyone finally understand what happened, and they could, you know, go in and read about it and then kind of move forward from this. It's kind of like a healing process for myself, and hopefully for a lot of players as well. I know, you know, especially a lot of players that was at the football club at the time, hearing that apology from, you know, Timmy Silvers and to myself and anyone else that was hurt from the camp, hopefully they can, you know, find a bit of healing from that as well.
Do you feel let down by the AFL, Eddie?
Well, to be honest, Rob, at the time, you know, I was verbally talking about it. I told him everything, the way that I was feeling and how I was feeling, and I just felt like my voice wasn't being heard, and I felt like I needed justice. And I guess, you know, it did hurt at first when nothing was done, and so yeah, it finally, you know, hopefully we can, you know, obviously we did get an apology from Tim Silvers today, but yeah, I felt like justice is served.
Do you think the AFL should apologise to you?
I think that's probably one of the easiest things to do, is say sorry. They acknowledged it today.
No, they acknowledged your pain today. They acknowledged your pain.
They acknowledge it, but the easiest thing to do is say sorry. And to be honest, it wasn't, when they came out and they said that about the Aboriginal players, it wasn't only just an Aboriginal players. There was a lot of players hurting. So for them to come out and apologise to me, yes, or to acknowledge that they've, you know, they acknowledged the stuff that happened with the Aboriginal players at that football club, but there were a lot of other players that were hurting. So the easiest thing would probably for the AFL to come out and apologise to, you know, all of us players.
Do you feel like they had enough information to take action, Eddie?
Yeah, I do. We told them everything. I told them everything. I know a lot of the other players told them everything, but it just, didn't feel like we were heard. And so hopefully now that my autobiography out, and to be honest, it's like, this book is not about the camp. It's only one chapter in that book. It's a great, you know, journey about my life, and hopefully people can see that for what it is, instead of just this famous camp.
Eddie, we accept that. We accept that, but we also accept in the last 25 years, from when Nicky Winmar stood up and Michael Long stood up, that we as a competition and we as a sporting group are trying to work better and better understand Indigenous culture. And I think we've made enormous steps. But when we wake up and we read your stuff today, I don't think we're making major steps. And we've got a Players Association who are telling us tonight that they weren't aware to the depths of your story. They're telling me that they have read stuff today from you that they did not know. How can that possibly happen? Did you tell the Players Association?
We did, but a big part of being in that environment, we weren't allowed to say anything to anybody. We weren't even allowed to tell our teammates. You know, to this day, our teammates still don't even know what we did in our group. So there was and that's how we felt very divided, and the club kind of broke down from that point. And, you know, and I could see that we were all hurting, and we try to make change at that point. But yeah, it felt like you couldn't speak up, and it felt like you couldn't tell all. And so, you know, I bared my soul, and I was very vocal about it. There's a lot of other players that were very vocal within that organisation about it, and most of us aren't there anymore. But yeah, it's
help us, Ed. I've got to interrupt. Sorry, mate. Help us all watching. Why did you feel that you couldn't speak up?
Because we were told not to.
By who?
By the people who were running it. So
the camp people or the club people?
The camp people. So, but it was hard. You know, you're in an organisation where you want to play footy, you love your teammates, you care about your teammates, and you don't want to bring the place down. So, and every time the camp was brought up, it felt like the place was crumbling in, and that's why, like, a part of me at the moment feels kind of sick for doing this, because my mates and my friends are at the Adelaide Football Club right now, and they have to go and deal with this being out there again, the Adelaide Famous Camp. But for me to tell them is that this is kind of the truth. This is the truth that is coming out, and you could finally move forward and understand what happened.
And when you think back on it, Eddie, and you put yourself back there, this is one of the questions that's troubled me during the day is, could it have been stopped in real time? So at the initiation process, is it right that your coach was there? Could somebody have stepped forward and gone, no, we're not doing this?
Yeah, to be honest, Gerard, it was brainwashing. It was very, you were kind of stuck into it, and you felt like you couldn't leave. So you'll understand it. People will understand it once they read my book. It's kind of hard for me to talk about it. I want to try explain it the best way I can, but once you read it, you'll understand, and you'll get the picture.
Was Don Pike at that initiation process?
Yeah, there was a lot of people there, Gerard. Okay. Group 1.
Yeah. Have you spoken about those events with Group 1 at all, or is that just too much to contemplate?
No, well, I do. Yeah, I do speak to a few players that were in Group 1, and it kind of think how, when you look back on it, it's kind of think, what the hell were you doing? Why? What we've been, it was, and to be honest, it was one game, the 2017 grand final. We lost that. We were the best team in the competition. We had a brain phase. We didn't play that well, and Richmond had a great final series, and they wanted to up the game. They wanted to make us mentally strong. They wanted to make us resilient and a lot tougher in our mind. And I said to the playing group, and that aren't we not resilient enough? Our coach was murdered. We had to galvanise together. We had to become closer together. We stuck through this pain. We were resilient. We were strong. We were tough. We were mentally tough. We had to get back and play footy again. That's resilient. That's tough. We didn't need to bring outside people to come in to make us mentally tough, and we were already a strong, great environment and a team that really cared for one another.
Great comment.
Yeah, it's such a comprehensive story, the whole book, Eddie. I know we have focused in on the camp. How do you balance, as we sit down to take it all in, how do you balance the sheer joy that you brought to so many and clearly experienced in your career with the myriad challenges that you were confronted with in all sorts of different ways?
Yeah, well, when you speak about that, I enjoyed my time playing footy. I loved it. I loved putting smiles on people's faces. And when it comes to all the barriers that I've faced through my journey, I always like to educate people, to tell the truth, to be honest, to stay authentic. And that's just the way that I live my life, and I'll continue to do it. I'm still continuing to face barriers going forward. But my job's not done now, Gerard. I have to use my voice for the next generation, and that's probably one of the things, Robert, when you spoke about just before, and you spoke about, why and the understanding of Aboriginal culture, and we needed to be a safe spot. And so that happened in 2018, and we were fighting for Indigenous liaison officers, fighting for cultural awareness, fighting for more Aboriginal people through the organisations, and that's what we got. We finally got that last year, because I want young Aboriginal kids to come into the AFL world and feel safe, because sometimes it could not be. It's not safe, and these kids live two worlds. They live in their life back home in the community, coming to an AFL club, which is a completely different lifestyle, and we needed to make it culturally safe for these young kids to come in, and we finally did that last year to make it compulsory. So we're making baby steps, but we've still got a long way to go.
Thanks for coming on, mate. You're a national treasure.
Thanks, Robbo and Gerard, and hopefully now everyone can move forward, read the book, and I guess get some enjoyment out of it, laughter, cry, be sad, but it's a great book to read, and hope everyone enjoys it.
It's every bit of that. Eddie Betts, thank you very much. With us on 360, the boy from Boomerang Crescent. How lucky we are that he found his voice as a young player moving through, and he has used that voice to such great effect.